Yes, folks, Crypto Sniper here. Yep, having a quick run at you. So, a couple of things to update you with. The key giveaway in our last video that was streamed on October the 7th. It's now Saturday, late evening, almost Sunday, almost midnight, and it's the 9th of the 10th, so it's 2.5 days later. Now, we gave as a freeview release something we'd been watching for quite a while. And that was Ripple. So total market caps 1, 2s, and 3s to go higher and make all times high. Ripple to 5% market cap dominance, XRP.D, which is going to be a substantial move because at the time of this call, it was in and around the 2% levels, 2.1. And that means overperformance relative to an already expanding bullish scenario. So overall, we have been exceedingly bullish during a period where a lot of the crypto channels have been somewhat cautious. So let's get some of that bear opinion that's out there. This is London Real TV, and this is BitBoy.
And Ben, you're really honest about talking about this stuff. You're always about, look, this is going to happen. You've been through these bear markets before and you made it out alive. So let's talk about the bear market first. You have a great quote, if in doubt, zoom out. It's a fantastic way of looking at things. Tell us, is the bear market happening? How do we deal with it?
Yeah, the bear market is definitely going to happen. Now, there's a little bit of confusion this weekend. There was a tweet. I ended up deleting it because it wasn't conveying the proper message that I wanted to convey, which is, we do feel like this market is going to top out soon, but we do believe there is one more parabolic move, and we do think Bitcoin will hit $100,000 in the next couple of months. And then it will go down. Altcoins will move up after that, but Bitcoin will be tumbling. And then next year, Bitcoin is going to tumble greatly. We know this. It's a 4-year cycle for Bitcoin. We've seen it over and over and over again. And there's nothing about this market to indicate anything different. We've already seen in the bull market how quickly things can change. In May, we had a 55% drop in one day.
Wow. One day, 55%. Let's take a look at that statement, shall we? That would be one day, as we are on the daily chart. And that is 55.58. It says 69 bars and 69 days. It's a great number, that. It sure ain't one, though. But never mind, we'll forgive anyone a minor inaccuracy. So, been calling for a top for a while, saying September. Let's hear that part.
So we do know that this can happen. Other bull markets, we've seen even bigger drops in a day. So to think that we're immune this time because there's more money in or institutions are here, I don't think that that's really a good way of looking at it or a good perspective. The best way for me always is looking at history, and it doesn't always repeat, but it rhymes. That's what, a lot of people say, and I generally agree with that. According to my calculations, I guess, that I've made for 2 years, I said the bull run would end at the end of September in 2021. Now we're getting
end of September 2021. Okay, that's not happened, and it kind of clashes with saying Bitcoin hitting $100,000 in a couple of months' time. So I'm a bit confused if the bull run was meant to end September, but we're still going to hit 100,000, bearing in mind that we're not even 60,000. That's still quite a bit of upside. So it's not happened in September. What's his opinion now?
Getting to the end of September, and we've not had that parabolic rise yet. So my timeline may end up being off by 4 or 6 weeks, but I do believe sometime during
by 4 or 6 weeks. So if it's not the end of September, 4 or 6 weeks would mean the end of October, 4 weeks, or maybe the first 2 weeks in November. A blow off and a crash. Because immediately the crash comes after the blow off, apparently. Which it can do, but not always.
In the fall, we will see the top of the bull market, which the top of the bull market is literally the beginning of the bear market. So, that they go, one right into the next. So how do you survive a bear market? Well, just like you said, when in doubt, zoom out. When you look at the overall trajectory of crypto and of Bitcoin, it's always up and to the right, meaning we expect big growth coming from it. So really and truly, the way to navigate the rest of this bull market, like I have a lot of people that'll come up to me and they'll say, just people in my regular life, like, maybe people at the ballpark.
Oh, okay. We're getting into narrative now. So I disagree with this. We've just had, and this is the key message behind this video, and I may as well get to the key message real early. Back-to-back weeks caught squeezes and signals. Back-to-back weeks. In other words, 2 data points, 2 signals. And we'll go into that on Bitcoin in a second. And the call for the end of the bull market at the end of September is not transpired. And the end of October or 2 weeks into November, I do not agree. In short, I believe it's going to be a good run all the way through into December. If you really want a prediction, how about Pandemic 22, CV 22 in March, but that's for another channel, and probably an easing in March. And a decent January and February, possibly slightly cool in December, but a very strong October and November, but flat, maybe a bit off, or maybe moderately up in December, we'll see. And a decent Jan and Feb, with alts doing particularly well. In fact, if we revisit what we said, and we'll leave Mr. Rose and London Real and Mr. Armstrong. Actually, seems a nice guy, by the way. Not, hey, everyone can be wrong, and it's not a diss. I mean, this guy is at 1.29 million subscribers. So let me tell you, as a YouTuber, he's a phenomenal success. And he may well be a very good crypto forecaster as well. I would like to say HVF method is better and superior. And I think so far we are certainly in terms of the technical calls on Bitcoin. I don't know who's doing it better. But we've got to stay humble. It's the method, not the man. And you can do it too. So it's not really about an individual. Bitcoin has not fallen 55.5% in a single day. That is 69 days. Bear markets don't necessarily start straight away. You end up having, in my view, technically a rising wedge here for an extended period that was pointing to marginally higher highs and weakening. You can have a melt up out of those, but generally you get a bit tired after a while. We were at the 2.618, which was the 54K, which was a key level of significance again. That was round about there from our original break down here that had the second most important HVF and then went rather single-handedly net up for a sustained period, breaking out of its overperformance band at that point. So you were actually slowing down all the way while you were going into the 64K in my mind, and there was a loss of momentum. You had your first warning and you had another chance to get out, and only that entire process delivered the head and shoulder that actually we called everyone to get into stablecoin. I'm not sure BitBoy did, but I don't know for sure. And we said the 29K will be your great get back in. So that is part one of all of this. I want to talk about, so there are bearish views out there. And if you count votes by subscribers on a YouTube channel, he has 1.29 million votes, which you've got to tip your hat to and respect for in comparison to our channel, which I think is probably not even 40,000 yet. So that's quite a lot more noughts that we are lacking. But nonetheless, we'd like to think our technical analysis and macro calls are superior to all those around, because we all want to be the best, don't we? So what did we say going back to Bitcoin? What did we say a week or so ago? And this is what's transpiring right here. Him in the sleeveless shirt did say, you want to stay macro bull. We will refer to Bitcoin. And also we made a major comment. We gave a free view after discussing for a week in our community, and guys slowly starting to accumulate pot and then pivoting even out of our Solanos that had done so well into Ripple on account of cross-market analysis and various other things that I don't see these other channels do. A lot of what they do is narrative. Someone who came to talk to him to ask what Bitcoin's going to do next because he's got a massive YouTube channel. I like a bit more rationale there personally. Follow the money in the charting, or be fundamental and be getting the big stories. My anecdotes are the sports bets firms are buying 500 million, $500,000 worth a month of Bitcoin. what's it, 500, was it 500 million? 5 companies. He's needing to buy 500 million of Bitcoin a month out of his 5 big sports bet clients. That's my anecdote. I don't have many, but the technical analysis is far more important to me. So I'm going to switch to Ripple, and I'm going to come back and finish on Bitcoin because everybody's interested in that. So we spoke about the most hated token. The one that's got the official title of banker coin. I said many of them will be part of the control matrix over you. Crypto will not be your freedom. Forget all the libertarian aspects. Blockchain is an open source bank account where most things can see. If you really want Bitcoin, you probably should be in Monero, and who knows what's happened there with all the events recently, because you won't get you're not going to get privacy as you expect. Anyway, we said you're coming into a final support zone. This chart here is the Bitcoin, XRP Bitcoin final support zone. And we also referred to XRP dominance. Let's take a look at that and see how we done. It looks even more clearly optimistic. I'll show you the Ripple dominance, which is against all markets, not just Bitcoin. So don't forget, all suffered a bit together. And here's what I like about this as a macro structure. 3% dominance of Ripple is a key level. Again, key levels of significance. They work everywhere, guys. There's that blue line. You had this. Can't help joy. So you've got a W bottom over there, all up with a neckline at the 3 most logical level. That takes you to virtually 5%, 4.89. Then you've got falling wedge. So don't forget, this is Ripple measured against everything. The Ripple dominance will have Bitcoin, so it's like the XRP BTC, but it'll also be XRP all the other alts. So they have the whole basket of the rest of the world of major alts in there. Falling wedge, 3 impulse, perfect, slow, super supported here, bum. Makes the 3 again, down, very low vol, final little PP downside, sitting on the small fractal of a baby funnel that you had for the upside there. Real support level there. Now that gives you this. I mean, big, fat, simple, cokey draws. Straight into that. Straight into that. Straight into that. I'm going, well, give it to me one more time. So just to give you an idea, this is against dominance in percentages. So you're not getting a target out of that. But if you make that HVS structure and or the double bottom, which are all clustered roughly at around level, you would be going to a number, tidies up his face a little bit there, around 5%. So if it's 2.15% relative to the others. Now, the others all go up and get bigger, yet Ripple goes 2.5 times larger relative to these others that are all getting bigger in an alt Bitcoin bull market into Christmas. How much extra performance are you getting? We could be talking about quite a super spike there. How many of you understood what I just said? How many of you understood what I just said? Put up your hand and say, aye, skipper. Or say, play it again, Sam, if you did not. And I will repeat it one more time. So remember, percentage of dominance means the scale that you are getting bigger relative to the entire pool's getting bigger. If you stand still and the entire pool gets 50% bigger, you are down by 1/3 in your dominance. Simple as that. You just stood still and the whole pool got, your relative dominance is down. If you are actually going to go up 2.5 times dominance in an already expanding, it means you're getting a 2.5 times bigger slice of pizza. And the pizza, instead of being an 11-inch pizza, is going to be a 21-inch pizza. Guess what? You're now feeding your whole family instead of just yourself. Well, you get a bigger slice of pizza out of a bigger pie. And that's the key point that we've been making. And we've warned that we expect this is happening, and we've been building up a Ripple pot. The most hated, the most loathed, the most banker coin, it doesn't matter. It's about making the money. It's a slave matrix, all of it, and that's a game. That's what we said, and that was down at, you can have a look at that, 2.15. You might be able to spot it. I put a square around it on there. Your current there, 2.15 in dominance versus Bitcoin. So how have we done? We'll come back to Bitcoin. We'll have a look at Ripple. That's Ripple this evening. By the way, you got your fractal little squeezy, by the way. So plenty of opportunity to jump in over there. We also highlighted against the dollar that on the bigger time frame, you have a far larger constructs. You've got to remember that Ripple ran into some SEC bother, and that might have to unravel that whole bag of worms. So you've got a bit of a squeezing structure there. But as I've already mentioned, the XRP BTC and the XRP dominance, which a large part of that will be Bitcoin as the largest component in the rest of the market cap, but it'll also include the others. has given you the pop today that gave you the dollar move up. And if we go and have a look at the XRP dominance and we put those same lines that you saw, they were all still sitting there, and you got the shout literally at the bottom. 2.11 was your bottom. We were talking it was 2.15 and meeting our funnel of support. Now you're at 2.32. Now you've seen how much it's moved in price. We were buying it sub $1 during this period. You know, you've got this W bottom as well. That's the 3% again being a very key level. We highlighted that in the video. If that were to continue, and this is the key point, it doesn't have to. If that were to continue and you were to make 4.89, I would almost assure you that it's likely that you'd have a blow-off event into 5, maybe even slightly beyond, if those were to be made. But you know, in the worst case scenario, 4.62, 4.89 is pretty much there or thereabouts. So that's where you are on Ripple, and this is what's happened since in the markets. It's been one of the best performers. In fact, let's go and have a look at that market cap. Haven't checked that, so I don't know what I'm going to see. There could be some other runners out there. Coin market cap. So we refresh that a wee bit and see what it's done for the day. So we know what 7 days look like. Let's have a look. 1.3%, 0.4, 1.5 for ADA. Most of it pretty flat, 10% Ripple. Not bad from DOT either, but Ripple is overperformer. And I expect to see that continue to happen on the basis, and I think it could shock a few people, and I would expect there'll be some news-based events that'll probably be a driver for bringing that back into play. So there you go, the news before the news. Get in at 2.1, you would already be at 2.33% or 2.36. You would have had a 10% move in your favor on one of the most loathed, unloved tokens that was actually being threatened by Solana, and actually we were pivoting out of Solana that we were holding into Ripple, which has been dull for a long time. And by the way, I was the guy that said it was the worst holding through the bear market. It was my permanent short. It was a bleed out. Occasionally they'd give it a small spike. It always, if you could short the top of that spike once it started rolling over, it was make new lows. So let people understand, because you're going to get the people, oh, but that's a shit coin. How can you do that? And it's the banker's shitcoin and blah, 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 blah. These people don't realize how many, all of these tokens are going to be part and parcel of the matrix that will be controlling you. But I can tell you that if you look at a Ripple ETH chart, it was non-stop down, 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 down for this relationship, all the way down. This is also a bit of a final squeeze near lows, and if you get upside from Ripple there, you will get upside against Bitcoin. Again, through the bear market, shorting through this low, a small little defense period, low. Even this spike, just sell it off into the new lows. Then there was exhaustion, and now actually we are calling the turn on that, in the same way we were short oil and became aggressively long on the energies post the pandemic event. This is the value of key technical analysis. There's some great guys, there's some great characters, they get some great guests because they have large YouTube channels, they have entertaining banter. There's a ton of channels, but the key thing is, are you going to get something that's going to increase your alpha and wealth out of them, or are you going to get news, chat, and entertainment? You'll even get some entertainment on our channel to some degree, but the key part of it is, where's your money going to be? Are you going to be sitting in something that's easing back while the rest of the alts run, because you don't know how to do relative strength analysis, because you can't do it all, even if you do know how to do it? Why not have a group of people that are all trained to a very high standard, that are all looking at many different things and bringing their findings? Big scientists collaborate on the internet globally with labs all over the world. I shouldn't be bringing up labs and science, but anyway, as an example. And being in an environment where people are not having any dogma, any notion or preconceived belief system, and everything is justified only by the footprints in the sand, the real tracks of what the money is doing. Are you following the money? Are you following the money? If the money is going to go into Ripple, I want to be in Ripple. It's as simple as that. And if you get a doubling of dominance in a bull market where the pie is expanding and one particular token is going up 2.5 times in its dominance relative to that pie, to 5% of an expanding pie, I can't tell you what that dollar amount is, but it could be special. Do you have to hold your nose because you've got preconceived notions? Well, hold your nose. But I'll tell you, the things you think that stink and the ones you think that smell clean, you'll be amazed how many of them, how many of them all stink in terms of their role and their gamesmanship. ADA, all of these things are going to work with governments in terms of passports, identity, biometrics, and everything that's coming. These people are going to be part of the enabling the tech, and there's no one there fighting for the consumer and disablement of privacy robbing entities. No one. This is the big open door policy. That's where you're being taken. And every single one of these cryptos, so people have their gossip and favorites and whatever the nonsense is going on. Are there some more cool, newer tokens that you get more likes for mentioning? You'll get dislikes for mentioning Ripple. But let me just tell you, you've missed out a major run. That's just 10% today that you didn't make by not getting in at 106. If you'd got in at 92 cents, you would in fact be the better part of 25% up on your money. If that's what interests you, and real rational market analysis is what interests you, rather than maybe a bit of talk show hosting and pontification and theories espousing that basically are pet projects of people for which there's not great rationale. The more I pursue and I see opinions, the more I find that most things you hear are based on very little or on highly tenuous assumptions that don't stand the scrutiny of a real scientific examination. And in technical analysis, following the feet, following the money, following patterns, following structures keeps getting us in the right places. It got us into ETH when it was ETH DOM. It got us into Bitcoin for the echo bull that none of the alts did, and we called Bitcoin dominance. It got us into Cardano. That was the early runner in April at 18 cents. It's got us back into Ethereum when Ethereum ran until eventually it hit its gas prices usual problem. Got us into Solana. During that, in between that, we ran on Theta, really larger and hard. I mean, I can say to you, with what's coming in the next 3 months, if you played it smart, there's no reason you should not be a 7-digit heir, even starting with 4 digits. But the key thing is you can't sit around in an altcoin going nowhere and hodling because you're waiting for a news release or something big to happen. And that's my big frustration. There's too much narrative and not enough pre-advance rational positioning that sees the subsequent move come to your token, not somebody else's. And everybody thinks you're kind of lucky. Yeah, I get to be a lot more lucky, it seems, than everybody else. And it's all about making money. Anyway, bit of a preach, bit of a whatever. I think the guy's a nice guy. And I've got no arguments with him. Love to appear on his show, to be honest, with 1.29 million. But I just don't know that you're getting rational technical analysis. You get great entertainment, lots of news shares, lots of other things that are pretty cool to have. I just don't have too much time for that because I can't monetize that. And my time is too important. You know, I started the clock on the last 3 years of your life on my reset channel. And I said, how are you going to live it? And the better you live it, the more likely you're going to get your contract renewed. And the smarter you live it. So, you know, I haven't got the time. Anyway, good to check in with you. That's the Ripple call. I'm going to show you one other thing that's going to take us back to the charts, and it'll be Bitcoin, the boss. I said I'd finish on him, so I will. I'm going to take the eye off. This is a busy and ugly chart with all my scribbles on it. The one thing I will be adding is the thing we gave to the crypto community that says exactly the opposite of what Mr. Armstrong says, and that is you want to be long. Right now, you want to be long. And do come back and tell us if we were wrong, and we'll take it on the chin. And maybe suggest to all these others that might be calling for end of September or 4 to 6 weeks more before a major crash, whether they are right, come and tell us that we were wrong, or maybe tell them if we have been accurate and they should get us on their shows. This is what's happened. The buyers continue to accumulate. This was the big move that gave us the tightest squeeze in the history of the indicator. That is now 2.5 years old in terms of history that we look at. Let's go up to 2 daily, shall we? So we can actually see some pixels here. And let's also add the signal. So that's the one you want, the signal. That'll put the signals on. The insider, if you want a bit of understanding. Now we are now lower than we've ever been on the delta. It is a negative number. What's actually happened? Since we started the signal, there were always more distributors they were larger. The the largest sellers were bigger than the 4 largest accumulators. And what's actually happened on the red and the green lines here, the bold blue line is the differential between them, is that the pinches were great buy entries. And the very broad bits, usually, over here, for example, very low buyers out of the big 4, very high sellers were your shorts, as well as crossing the 70 mark on sellers. And we explain that in all those notes. So you go back to the settings, read all the templates, you can go through it. I'm not going to spell it out for you. It's for free. Go and read it. And we've just got back-to-back weeks. That was last week that called the bottom here. And this is the data released on Friday up to Tuesday for the reaccumulate here. Now, when we get double signals like that, you'll remember here on the short side, this was calling the top. This was your echo bull that the alts never believed in. The alts were too crushed. They never believed in it. Bitcoin had an echo run, and then it was dragged down, and the alts just had a little and fizzle. And people didn't see it. People didn't buy into it. Eventually, you need the rest of the market to move, and they couldn't. And there was still pain from one of the longest bears, and that was the setup of the first cup gold nugget taking us into the pandemic period, where you got another accumulate and you hit our levels again with a squeeze. The green's coming up. Now, I want to point out on the reds, and I'm going to go with the red pen. Since we started the indicator here, you've always been on the high side with the reds. This has been the general level. You wanted to be a seller around here. Down here, whoop, bit of a bounce down there. Whoops, you wanted to be a seller again. And then we were kind of, during the first cup gold nugget, moderately high on the reds. And then as the market was moving, the greens were flattening out to a level. Since the head and shoulder, actually, during the period of the head and shoulder, the largest 4 sellers didn't want to sell at those levels. In other words, they were expecting better. They came really low down. And that's the first time since the inception of the signal that the red line was below our midpoint, 37.5. There, bang. So no miners were selling into our long there. That was a minus strike in terms of sales. They just didn't do it. So then you got to move up in the buyers. Buyers said, at these prices, I'm going to buy. Remember, these are the smart money, the institutions. That's your squeeze right there. That gave you that signal. And that's what gave us the confidence. It's going to falling wedge. It's a net accumulate point during this. You should be looking at it on the weekly. That's why it looks a tad early, because the data only comes out once a week. I will pivot to the weekly in a bit. But I wanted to show you here and here, 2 long signals. Very strong. Don't forget, absolute high there was 13.9. You certainly could be getting out at 12K all day long. Plenty of chances there. And on the wick, remember, this is a 2-day chart. So each candle is representing a full 2 days. All of those could have been got out at 12K. You would have been buying at 4. You would have 3 times your Bitcoin. Hello? Or you could have got back in more accurately at 6.8. Got out at 10, and then bought back in at 4, which would have given you an extra shuffle. Missing the sell-offs is so good for your Bitcoin power and value. Anyway, so key point here, you've got a second a second. This is the major new second weekly cot squeeze all time, and a flippening. The first flippening ever since we started, we considered the cot data settled, 19th of March. We drew the line there. First flippening ever in that period. There was a bit of mixed data and the futures weren't being used very much. But once we reached decent volume, those were there. So you've just got two signals. These two lines are giving you back-to-back data points as buys. And it's on top of 4 prior buys. So if you count these two as one, there's 2 signals, 3, 4, 5. The first one at the bottom of the COVID lows. The second one at your RL3, the final squeeze before the big move. You had a break, feign back, and then you went. Then the first half-time pullback during half-time. Your bounce rally, wind up at the low. And now here as you're moving higher. Now I'm not going to tell you that means straight away you go up. It actually looks a little tired and Bitcoin could rest a little bit and come off. But the long run accumulate. Just like here you had a little head and shoulder there and came back before you went. It's a key accumulate signal. So if Bitcoin's going to do that, and XRP could be outperforming Bitcoin. And one of the key points I made in the XRP element is it was a low risk trade because the invalidation point is near, and it's still near. It's still near now. If we put on XRP now, and we'll leave the Bitcoin data on for interest rates, you can see how it's done. That again, we need to put it on the weekly because the data is weekly. Because otherwise it just looks like things are a little bit hectic. So you would have had, and this is an underperforming crypto for most of its time. You would have had a decent run there to there. You would have had a decent short there to there. You would have had a decent long there to there. You would have had a decent rebuy, a decent short. You would have had a decent rebuy back in, and then you rebought back in, and then you bought tad early there. You would have had initial pullback. That's the squeeze into there before you go there. This is the only signal that on a number of them are a tad early. Remember the alts continue to get a bit crushed there, and you've just had here another one. Now there's a second signal here missing, and that's a bug in TradingView. So instead of a week, I'm gonna say 7 days, and there's your second long. You got a buy there, and you got a buy there, there and there, bang. So trading the Bitcoin COT data on Ripple has been absolutely superb, and it's an underperformer of the alts till now. And with what we've said, it's a potential to play catch-up game, because if we take you back to the XRP dominance chart and we leave those Bitcoin COT indicators in there, now this is a dominance, so this is relative to Bitcoin. So the key part is not that these are bad signals, because Bitcoin was going up faster. They were all going up, but Bitcoin was going up faster. You accumulate there, there, and there. If this is a turn with a W bottom and a squeezy Japanesey, the low risk entry was here as we gave it to you, 2.15, virtually there, because your stop was 1.96. Bang. Like that. That's the key point that so many people miss. And as a result, I think you're looking at one of the best trade opportunities for one of the most low stock. And the more it's lows, the more retail won't participate until they can't bear not to be in it. Eventually, all those cranky XRP fans are going to get their day in a bit of a move for a while. But boy, won't they have sat through a bear summer. Okay, that's a couple of thoughts for you on the big world of crypto, people with 1.3 million channels. What the hell? Help us get up there. How many folks value what we do down here? Humble old crypto sniper can't quite crack 36,000. Come on, guys. Help get us out there. The bigger the number, the more regularly we'll pitch. Help us. Shares and likes are currency. Puppy licks. Get us on his show. We'll help him. We like to help everyone. We're not mocking anybody. We just think it's not a well thought out thesis. Of course, there will be a bear market, but the cycle is extending. The cycle is extending. I did, let me see if I can pull this up. For the charted markets, one of the first things I said, and this is somebody else's chart, but the cycles are extending here, guys. That was from your low, your first cycle. That was your second cycle. This is time and gradients. That was your third into 2017. That point is there. That is your high. Now we project from the lows, and our orange track is actually performing pretty darn well relative to this one. We're probably somewhere here, just below it. These levels, 140, maybe 300, 400K, and an extended cycle. Look how long it took from low to high and how much longer it was taking. This is the lows of every cycle joined up at the same place. That's how long the cycle took. You don't have to have a September crash, not into a COT indicator like we have as a tool. Anyway, we'd love to explain that to him and everyone else. And we think it's rational, and we think it's well justified. These were slides, by the way, my community members will get access to these and the full presentation. Chartered market technician is me. I was the opening guest. It was a great honor to talk first at the Asia Pac technical analysis for people that are developing an interest in crypto, still to come, that are technical analysts normally in traditional markets. On that great note, if you found that useful and that share, and you happen to see the 10% Ripple did today, and you think that wasn't a bad shout, you would have enjoyed this video. If not, give us a massive thumb down and just swear and say nasty things in the comments. That would be awesome. Okay, thanks very much, and we'll talk to you later. All the best. Bye.